Oh my...
This was back in June when my friend Uli and I went on an adventure deep in the Alps of Austria, and it was at this moment that we finally found what we had been looking for. But let's get back to that later and actually go to the beginning of the story. Today's story is about a film photography and hiking adventure that my friend and I embarked on, and the many beautiful moments on the way, which I wish to share with you. Enjoy.
Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now.
This story is another one of those that begins at home in my room where I was sitting at my desk hanging out on one of my favourite places on the internet. Google Maps. Yeah, I love Google Maps and all the contributors to the Google Street View catalogue. In case you don't know, Google Maps doesn't only show Google's own 360-degree photos of the streets, but also user-generated content that can come from anywhere. And so one of my favourite ways of scouting locations and hikes is to look for these little user-generated points in the mountains in my area, because there are some great views to be seen. And one day, I came across a particular point that caught my attention with its uniqueness and sheer beauty. This place looked fascinating with the melting snow, the little rivers that looked like the veins of our planet Earth. Honestly, I was really struck by this one for some reason, and in my head, this might be corny, I nicknamed the place Heaven on Earth. Seeing as it's not too far away from where I live, I decided that I have to see this with my own eyes. There was just one minor problem. It was the middle of winter, so that place is going to look nothing like on the photo.
So I suppose I'm just going to have to wait. Or I could just go anyway.
On the 4th of January this year, my friend Uli and I whipped out the snowshoes and all the warmth-preserving clothes we could find to hike up to the spot. We had talked about going on a mountain adventure together and didn't want to wait for the summer, so we just went ahead. Here we had made it to a beautiful, flat section past the forest where we were surrounded by the mountains and a river was flowing in between all the snow. After a little snack to regain some energy, we moved on to tackle the challenge in front of us. It seemed that maybe what we were looking for lay behind the big icy cliff in the distance.
Absolut nirgendwo hier.
This part became increasingly steeper and very harder to climb with all the slippery snow. Seeing as it was winter, we were also losing daylight quickly, and it looked like we had to turn around. The final blow was at the last section that just looked too dangerous due to the avalanche risk, and so with that, we had to conclude this first attempt and turn around. So that was our first attempt to find Heaven on Earth, but before even heading down, we already agreed that we are not giving up on this.
We will be back.
And we shall attempt to go up there again and find that place when the conditions are more favourable. It was a warm day in early June. In the midst of the Austrian Alps, two adventurers slowly make their way up a mountain, both equipped with cameras, food, and anything necessary for their mission. That mission was finding Heaven on Earth.
And so the second attempt begins.
So the hike begins with a somewhat plain forest part that drags for a bit, but it's quite steep and allows for some quick gains in elevation. And here it was time to get the first shot of the day. Uli was standing in such a neat little spot of light in the middle of all the greenery.
Oh ja, genau, wenn du so raufschaust, dann scheint es dir auch noch so schön aufs Gesicht. Oh. Danke.
Here's the result, and I'd say we're off to a decent start. I like the soft lighting and how full of various plants this forest is.
Schon, oder? Gib mir Hase vor. Zeit für die erste Jausen.
Here we were just reaching the end of the forest where the trail transitions into a different environment. And by the way, the setup for this adventure was quite simple. I had two cameras with me, the Pentax Spotmatic F with a roll of Fujicolor 100 inside. That roll, however, was almost finished from previous shoots, so I had a second roll with me, a roll of Fuji Premium 400. And the second camera I had on me was the Ricoh TF900 point-and-shoot camera with a roll of Fuji Premium 400 inside. Especially for point-and-shoot cameras, I like to have an ISO 400 film inside because that extra sensitivity adds some flexibility and makes it easier to get some decent shots with a point-and-shoot camera.
Wow, was ist das für ein cooler Weg jetzt?
It was here where we approached the spot with the river, from where we could already see our first goal, despite it still being quite a way to go.
Boah, siehst du Wasserfall? Geil. Und hier cool, ja.
Misty blue sky, take me on your treasure dive. I've got nothing to lose.
I absolutely love this part of the trail. To me, it looks like straight from a book. The plateau surrounded by the mountains with the little streams of waterfalls coming down that build the rushing river that flows through the middle, the vibrant green grass around the river, and the cute wooden huts and sheds sprinkled around the area. Small trees grow here and there in between some massive rocks that look like they once tumbled into their spots many decades or centuries ago. I'm not sure if you relate or agree, especially when just viewing this through a screen, but to me, even this spot that is not even halfway to our goal yet felt near magical. And so, naturally, we decided that this is the perfect spot for a lunch break.
Come on over here, lower them stairs. I've got all the tools. After years with the blues. Oh, you know.
I love the composition of this shot here, with the hut being the main subject and the trees sort of complementing it, and the river rounding things off at the bottom side, whereas the mountains round off the frame on the top side. I'm in love with the composition, but I'd really like to take this photo again in the morning sunshine. I think that type of lighting would make this shot actually look absolutely magical, so I suppose I have a good reason to come back again.
Der ist so ganz friedlich im Gegensatz irgendwie. Go. Ja, ganz klein sieht man. Jetzt wo kein Schnee liegt, kriegen wir das schon hin.
We continued to walk along the plateau, and progressively the path became a little steeper again, and around this point the next phase began, where we hiked up towards the waterfall and the cliff that appeared to be the final hurdle to our first goal. I didn't exactly know where the spot is that I was looking for, but I was fairly sure that it must be somewhere right above that cliff. The water falling off of the cliff must come from somewhere back there, right? So the plan for the day was to hike up to the cliff and stay the night in the hut there and beg the weather gods for some sunshine in the morning.
He's got out the camera.
Zenit for 50.
12 XPS.
12 XPS.
Nice. Boah, super radioactive.
Super radioactive.
Das kann ich mal durchschauen.
Ja, schau durch. Pretty orange.
Boah! Yeah, this is definitely highly radioactive.
I think it's affecting the photo afterwards.
As we progressed and time passed, so did the clouds, and occasionally the sun peeked out for a bit, blessing us with some pretty lighting, though for now I still wasn't shooting much. As the trail got steeper and we came closer to ascending the final cliff, we met some sheep which, to my surprise, were not exactly shy. Quite the opposite, some of them were very curious and friendly and came to greet these odd humanoid visitors passing by. And then something happened that I've never seen before, but maybe I just haven't met enough friendly sheep yet. This was such a cool moment that I was able to catch on camera. That was one friendly sheep that wanted to befriend Ollie and get some cuddles. I got some cute shots, this one is especially sweet I find, and for a brief moment the sun even came out, which allowed me to get this shot with some neat looking backlight, which I like.
Bye bye. Letztes Stückerl.
I like this shot, it's a simple portrait of Ollie on the trail, and I like how you can see the stone steps go up.
What? Let's get a shot of Willy right there. There we go. Sehr cool. Ich habe nicht erwartet, dass wir hier oben gehen werden.
Ich auch nicht.
Ha? Sind die auch freundlich? Lasst sie uns durch? Thanks for the portrait. Looking good today, as always.
I really like this shot here. It's like a portrait of the sheep that is showing me its home and family. Imagine a documentary and the sheep is talking to me, the interviewer, saying, "So back there, that's my family." On the other hand, it also kind of reminds me of this meme.
Fast da.
And with that, we had almost made it up the last steep part and were about to make it to our accommodation for the night. We were running a wee bit late and had to quickly check in before checking out our surroundings because dinner was at 6 and it was right around 6 at this time. The day was coming to an end and it was slowly getting dark. However, before heading straight to bed, we couldn't resist to at least have a little peek of what lies beyond this place. But before we get to that, I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is of course the good old Squarespace. If you want to make a website, I recommend using Squarespace. I myself have been using Squarespace for over 5 years at this point, and it's perfect for people like me who are creatives but not web developers. They're an all-in-one platform, so with your subscription you can make a website, host your content, register your own domain name, sell products, track analytics, and much more. They have this lovely, intuitive drag-and-drop editor called Fluid Engine, which is so easy to use and lets you customize the layout and design of your page. If you need some help when getting started, you can start off with one of the many professional and beautifully designed templates, which you can then customize to suit your own style. Or you can work with Squarespace's AI, which enables you to build a website in minutes by describing it and answering a few questions. All in all, what I think Squarespace is great at is combining creative freedom with ease of use, which I really appreciate. Try it out for yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, and then when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/Crawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for continuously supporting the channel. We enjoyed a warm dinner that the staff at the hut kindly cooked for all the hikers, and then, as it was already slowly getting dark, we decided to head out just once more for a quick peek of what lies beyond the mountain hut. It was a beautiful landscape with soft round rocks to climb up, some grass, and a loud, strong flowing river that carried all the melting snow down into the valley to water the trees. We walked up a hill, and that is where I found the view that I was looking for and was aching to see the next morning, hopefully with some sunlight. Here I took the last photos of the evening, some blue hour flash photos before heading to bed early to wake up with the sun. We woke up at about 5 AM and I took a look out the window to see whether the light was worth getting up for or if the clouds would defeat us. And to my delight, it was looking pretty good.
Gut aus. Sollen wir so ringen? Boah. Ich glaube, ich muss schon ein erstes Bild hier machen, das schaut so schön aus.
On the way to our spot with the view, we took in all the beautiful views along the way, and I already shot my first photographs right around the corner here. Then we hiked up to our little viewpoint to see the place properly in the morning light. This here is the view that we came for. This is what I had seen on Google Maps and wanted to see with my own eyes, and now we made it. What fascinated me about this view is the way the mountains surround this flat area in the middle where all the snow melts into. Now, I'm no biologist and cannot explain how the following works, but as far as my observation goes, this set of natural features creates this sort of alpine bog where the ground isn't rocky but soft, grassy and squishy. And through the grass flow some small streams and a bigger river, which all don't look like the typical rocky Austrian river. They look much gentler and idyllic with the water directly meeting the grass. It's so pretty, and the reason why I wanted to come here. I'll show you what it looks like from a closer distance later, because after shooting some more in the sun and eating an energizing breakfast, Uli and I planned to head deeper into the mountains here to actually experience this place, not just look at it from above.
Dafür sind wir gekommen. Machen wir das. Oh, wow.
Close to the hut and the ridge of the cliff, there is a little platform where a group of hikers were gathered to watch the sunrise. Here, I try to get a shot of the view with them in the composition. I like it. It's a neat photo of the gorgeous landscape with the tiny looking people in the distance that make me feel the massive size of the mountains when looking at the photograph. Next, I wanted to get a couple shots of some subjects in the distance, and so I used the Ricoh point and shoot instead of the Pentax because I can set it to tele mode and shoot with a 70mm lens. I'm a big fan of this photograph. The landscape is epic looking and the lighting adds such a dynamic look to everything and highlights all the shapes beautifully. And the hut, in my opinion, adds an interesting subject, a little piece of civilization amidst the pure nature of the mountains. Here, I got out the Ricoh again for that 70mm lens. And I'm again so happy with the result. It's so convenient to be able to change to 70mm with the press of a button to get a shot like this one. I like how someone was just walking past the water, adding their reflection in the pond, and how the sheep also stood in a position that allowed their silhouettes to decorate the bright patch of water.
Geh gerne vor. Dann nehme ich dich mit.
I like this one a lot. As the sun slowly rose higher, the water's pretty blue colour became more visible, as can be seen in the photograph. Also, it intrigues me how the river decided to wind through the grass like this, creating a pretty shape.
Ey, süß. Was machen die hier? Einfach so zwei chillen hier oben einfach.
We decided to head down to the pond and then go back to the hut for our breakfast. On the way, we met some good old friends again. This shot is pretty cool in my opinion. It's a fairly basic silhouette shot of the sheep, but to me it's so evocative. I guess I just really love the Alps here in Austria.
Uli, der Schafsflüsterer, ist zurück.
Uli was hanging out with the sheep again, and I tried to capture the cute scene. I got a shot, but then I thought I could probably get a better one. Got that, and then again I thought I could probably get a better one. And so, the third time's a charm indeed. I think this third version is the best one. I'm super happy with this photo. I like how the flock of sheep build a little visual group that stands out as a group subject in the composition, with Uli being the main subject. The reason that I shot this precise moment is that I also wanted to include the two sheep on the left rubbing heads, because that looked like a cute mirror to the sheep getting head rub from Uli.
Hallo. Ah, Hilfe. Was willst du? Hi. Der Uli gibt euch doch die Kuschler. Kommst doch nicht zu mir. Schau, der will euch kuscheln. Hallo.
Turns out these sheep were the early birds who were already up, but over here were the ones that wanted to sleep in a bit.
Was ist da? Das, was wir noch haben, ist das hier.
Alright, so with that, our main quest was accomplished. We reached heaven on earth. So, what now? Do we just head back down? Of course not. Firstly, I told you that I'll show you what it's like to walk in the valley, and secondly, during breakfast, we found a side quest that we were determined to also accomplish now that we had made it this far. One of the staff told us about a half-frozen, very blue lake that is only about a 1-hour hike away from the hut, and so that is what we set off for next.
Yesterday, there was sun in
So what I didn't know before coming here is that there exists a trail right next to the alpine bog, literally at the very edge, so that you can walk right beside the wet, soggy grass.
And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy we go, easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond gold.
And so we walked and walked across the beautiful landscape, and with some distance gained from the hut, the terrain began to slowly change. The idyllic wet and grassy bog came to an end, and we began walking over lots and lots of rocks.
Swallows alone, we lose track of time and a
Das ist eine Werbestation.
Not much further, there was a new addition to the terrain, some fields of snow. We avoided them as much as we could by walking little detours, but sometimes it was simply inevitable, and so we carefully stepped across the white, crunchy mass.
Ja, geht doch.
bigger scale the world inhales as we go.
At this point, we were getting a little confused because the staff and the signs said that the lake is only 60 to 90 minutes away from the hut. However, we had been walking for, I think, 2 hours or so at this point, and there was no sign of a lake anywhere. Every time we hiked uphill, we thought the next ridge would be the one that, upon arrival, would reveal this hidden lake. However, beyond every ridge, there was just more rocks, another hill, and another ridge.
Da ist nix. Nur mehr Hügel. Hinterm nächsten Hügel bestimmt. Da ist er dann. Das waren nicht die ersten. Ja. Vielleicht der letzte Hügel. Bis zum See. Gib uns den See. Na, warum geht's jetzt weiter? Was soll das? Hä?
At this point, we were really uncertain whether we were going to find this bloody lake, but for now, we decided to just keep going.
Ja, genauso vielversprechend wie die ganzen letzten.
Here we were hiking up yet another ridge, yet again hoping to find something on the other side of it.
Oh mein Gott, Theo! Ist er da? Was hat er gefunden? Was hast du gefunden? Oh mein Gott! Wow! Okay, ja. Das war's wert.
The lake was indeed still half frozen and very blue. Personally, I think it's hard to get across the beauty on camera. It was really so gorgeous in person that I feel like the camera doesn't quite do it justice. Anyway, we decided that this is our lunch spot and just hung out for a bit. And after that, we just hiked a wee bit further, took a self-timer photo, and then turned around. One day, I would love to continue further up that trail that appeared to lead through some tough-looking rocky terrain, but on this day there was still too much snow to go any further, and also we were running out of time seeing as we still had to go all the way down too. And so that's the story of this adventure. I'm so happy that this second attempt was successful and we got to see and experience the place I'd nicknamed Heaven on Earth, and even sit beside a beautiful blue frozen lake in the middle of absolutely nowhere in the Alps of Austria. I hope you too enjoyed coming along on this journey. Before saying goodbye, I would like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people supporting me and my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, color grading tutorials and stuff like that, you can check out all of that type of content on my Patreon via the link in the description. Also, I have a print shop, by the way, in case that is of interest to you. Also, link in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.